Hello, everyone. Let me introduce today's guest. He is 27-year-old. He has spoken at Affiliate World 3 times, and he has been doing search arbitrage for over 3 years. And last year, he just made $2 million. He is none other than Harnur. How are you, Harnur?
I'm good, Asha. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So, how was the introduction? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good.
All right. All right. So, I will just start asking you questions that I have written down. So let's start with how did you start your search arbitrage journey? Take us to the beginning.
Okay, so earlier I was doing only push traffic. Push was doing quite well for me, but I wanted to diversify and try new things because that's the entire game, right? You have to diversify to sustain in this game. So I was looking at more options. So I'm part of the Steam forum, and in a Steam forum, I was seeing one person, and he was making a lot of money in search arbitrage, right? And I knew this person personally, and I knew that this person is not so smart. And in spite of that, he was making like $10,000 a day. So that motivated me a lot. Like if he can make $10,000 a day, then why can't I make it, right? So that's how I got into search arbitrage. I inquired more and more about it, and got started with search arbitrage. I started with native ads in search arbitrage, and I was profitable within the first 1 2 weeks.
Wow. So what year are we talking about?
I think probably 2022, maybe.
Yeah, not that far. I mean, so yeah, so you were, I mean, it wasn't something like you were doing it for 5 years. So that is pretty interesting. You just started, I mean, within 2 weeks you were profitable. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
All right. My second question is what is the highest ROI you have ever hit from a campaign in search arbitrage?
This question would be a little bit tricky to answer because highest ROI also depends on what kind of cost do you have, right? So, I mean, if you have like $1 or $2 cost, then ROI could hit as much as 1,000%, right? But assuming that we have at least $100 worth of cost, right? Because only then it's proper to answer this question, right? Assuming that you have at least $100 worth of cost, then to be honest, there was one media buyer of mine who was doing TikTok, and he didn't do less than $100 ROI, 100% ROI. So, and especially this was back when I think it was allowed to show photos of keywords on the videos, right? Probably
Yep.
early days of search arbitrage. So you could just show photos of the keywords, and you can ask people that, you know what, click here, click there. I mean, back 2 3 years ago, it was allowed. So they made this new rule in last 2 3 years that we cannot do it anymore. But back then, when it was allowed, it was much more easier to make money in search arbitrage, and ROI was quite good in TikTok ads.
Yeah, back then compliance was not that strict, but and media buyers didn't know what is like compliant or not. There were no proper documentations and all that. But I get it that back then AFD was super profitable. It has really insane ROI. Um, but what do you think that reasonable ROI? So, for example, let's talk about monthly. For example, you have been running campaigns for about a month, and let's say you're doing $50,000 per month. What was your average ROI back then with AFD?
So if I were to look at my average ROI, in the best months probably 40%, and in the worst months probably 15 20%.
Right.
It would range between 20 to 40%. Yeah.
You know that was pretty reasonable. And what about now? So, you haven't mentioned that you have started doing RSOC now. Have you transitioned from AFD to RSOC, or you're still doing AFD?
I'm still doing AFD, but mostly on Kabula and a little
Mhm.
bit of Bangle. So that's still working well.
So, have you transitioned to RSOC, or you are still planning to move to RSOC, or is it like down the line?
I am doing RSOC. I'm doing Facebook on RSOC, and we'll be starting GDN and Kabula very soon. Actually, the thing is that, this whole thing transitioned so fast that did not get enough time to prepare for it.
Uh,
Um, so, I mean, all of it happened so sudden that so probably for every single person, it will take probably 1 or 2 months to get back to the same level that we were doing like couple of months ago, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, that's right.
revenue has declined now, but still we are new to our stock. We're trying to learn it, and probably next month onwards, or maybe after 2 3 months, it should be back to normal, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're pretty sure. So far I have seen that RSOC is performing much better. ROI that I'm seeing is, I mean, it you will not see it as much stable as it used to like back 3 4 years ago, but it is performing really well so far. What we have seen with ads.com, Sedo, and Maximizer Rocket. All right, let's talk about traffic sources. Which traffic sources have been most profitable for you back then and also right now?
I think for AFD, it was always TikTok, Facebook, and Taboola.
Mhm.
TikTok doesn't work that well for RSOC. So for RSOC, it would be GDN, Facebook, and Taboola.
Right, right. And which has given you the highest ROI among all these traffic sources?
So TikTok has always been given me the highest ROI, but Facebook is something that has given me the most amount of revenue and stable ROI.
Right. So when you talk about TikTok, is it just TikTok or is it Pangle ads?
So I started playing like just 2 3 months ago when I saw a couple of my Chinese friends are making a lot of money on Pangle.
Mhm.
Only then I started only then I started doing Pangle ads. But yeah, it was mostly doing TikTok because the problem with Pangle is that it fluctuates a lot and it's not stable.
Right, right. So you have mentioned a couple of times that you have been running Taboola ads, and so far you're still running AFD with Taboola, right?
Yeah.
So I mean personally, we were unable to make our campaigns profitable with Taboola since last year. I think since January or December, I think our campaigns were in loss, and we completely stopped media buying on Taboola, Outbrain, and all the native advertising platforms. So, is there specific strategies you are following, or what is it that you are still able to make AFD? Is there something, some crazy strategies that you are using right now?
Yeah, so with Taboola, it's mostly worldwide campaigns. So we usually do worldwide campaigns. We start with all the countries, and then we will let traffic run for a couple of days, and we will start reviewing the countries or doing ICPA.
Mhm.
So, and also when we're starting campaigns, we'll probably start without higher three countries like Egypt, Libya, Kenya, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So usually we'll start without these countries, and we'll start with worldwide targeting, and we start doing campaigns that are not countries that are not performing well, and
Mhm.
that's what's working for me right now in Taboola.
Right, right. And what do you think that is there any potential in AFD right now? How much volume we can do right now with AFD?
Yeah, I mean, you could still do AFD. I mean, RPC has declined obviously, but I think AFD is still doing decent. But it has declined a lot for Facebook. But I
Right,
think for other traffic sources, I think it's still doing decent. I think for Taboola and Triangle, it's still doing decent.
right. You can still make it profitable.
Yeah, still make it profitable.
Wow, good on you. All right, let's move to the next question. And this is really interesting one. Everyone has been asking me, and everyone has a different answer to this question. So, how do you usually find the verticals that you want to test?
Okay. So usually here's the thing, right? So I'll usually spy on other people. That's something that has worked best for me. And thing is that when you're working with a couple of networks like Domain Active Adscom, Fido, you know that there are certain macros or parameters that are common in their offer URL. And if you know that macros, you can just put that macro in the spy tool and you can filter out all the Fido or Adscom, offers. So usually, or else if you want, you can also, spy on a couple of pages on ads library and you can just bookmark them. So every time a person launches something, and if you see that that ad has been running for more than 5 plus days, that means that is profitable for it, right? So usually by spying, it is profitable to do it. Only if you get to a scale where doing like 100K a day, probably then you have to change your strategies. Probably that's when you have to be the first mover, right? But
Yep.
if you're doing less volume, not 100K a day, probably you can still do, still make it work by spying on people and copying other people.
Yep. What about the creatives? Do you create your own creatives? Do you like mix and match?
Yeah, I usually prefer to make my own creatives. I prefer not to copy other people because I feel that I can always make better creatives than other people. I can always write better script than other people, right? And thing is that if something has been running for 5 7 days, that means it has become saturated, right? So
Yep.
you would want to put some new creative into the system, and probably your CTR might be much better than the old creative.
So, how much creative? So, how much video and image ads you are using? I mean, is it like what is the ratio right now? 90% images, 10% videos.
So for mostly for USA, it will be videos,
Hmm.
and I think for non-USA country, mostly images will also do well. Uh, it depends. For example, if my image is able to convey the message very properly,
Hmm.
then probably I'll go with images.
Right.
Benefit that video has is that in videos in 13 seconds, 14 seconds, you could convey much more messages, right? And in much more better way in comparison to image. Usually, image does works well for me in finance categories, where you could just have clear cut message, right? Another categories, usually I use videos.
Right. Right. And are you using any tools for creating images or videos? Are you using some kind of service for videos?
I think I was using AI generation tools earlier. I think still I'll be using it. But apart from that, it's mostly my video editor who does the editing.
Hmm.
And he probably knows what kind of tool does he use. Probably some Photoshop or something like that.
Right. And for images, Canva or you just leave it to
Yeah,
your graphic designers.
yeah, we do use a lot of Canva as well. Yeah.
Right. And I forgot to ask one more question. So, when you were talking about spying, which tools do you use?
So for TikTok, it's usually PP ads, and for the Facebook, it is Ad Heart and Ads Library.
Right. Yes. Ads library, yeah, works pretty well. AdHard, I think everyone is using AdHard right now.
And for native ads, it's usually Anstrax or AdFlex.
Yep. 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 Yeah. All right. Let's move to another interesting question. How many verticals do you think a media buyer should test per day before finding a winning campaign? Before he
Okay,
can
so like,
find a winning campaign.
yeah, I think finding a winning campaign is a numbers boom, right? If you test like 10 creatives, probably 3 or 4 will end up work. Depends on your experience. So if your experience is good, your conversion rate of finding something good will just keep increasing, right? But so someone who's very new, probably he'll have to test 10 things and probably he'll find 1 or 2 good things, right? So I think it just depends on, how many, probably if possible, you should try at least 5 or 6 a day and 5 or 6 a day. And so here's what I do, right? Usually I'll spend 80% of my money in things that are already working and will try to scale it, and 20% of my time and budget and testing new things, right? Because those things that are working right now will eventually lie in a couple of days, right? But I have to keep finding new things to make sure that it is sustainable, right? So it's very important to keep finding new things, new
Right.
categories.
What do you think? What is the average lifespan of a winning campaign?
So usually in TikTok it's way less. So in TikTok probably 3 or 4 days maybe.
Hmm.
Again, you have to keep duplicating ad sets. You have to keep duplicating the ads, okay, to make it fresh every time, okay. And in Facebook, probably it can last for much longer time, probably 1 or 2 weeks. So yeah. And for Taboola, it's probably could go up to 1 month, like without touching it.
Yeah, yeah, Taboola has a longer lifespan. That is true. And I want to go into more details. What do you recommend? How much budget they should use for Facebook? Because Facebook is a traffic source that everyone is using. Most of the media buyers are using it right now for search arbitrage, and also it is considered most compliant. Whereas like Taboola is hard to crack, Outbrain and other traffic sources. How much budget do you recommend they should test? For example, you said at least 6 7 um, campaigns, right? So how many budget categories? Categories or campaigns?
I mean categories, right? So what I'll usually do is that many times you could have one category, you can launch 2 3 campaigns or 2 3 videos of one category.
Right.
Because just don't launch one video or one image, because you would want to try 2 or 3 images, right, for one category before making sure that it doesn't work, right? So
So Six categories and how many? So these six categories will be six campaigns, right? I'm trying to understand the structure of the campaign. So six categories, six campaigns, and each will have three ads. One ad sets
Yeah,
here.
you could have 2 or 3 ads. Make sure that you're starting with your best ads because when you're testing something new, make sure you're trying the best creative because depending on the performance of that creative, you will make a decision whether you want to scale it or you would want to die. You would want to kill it, right? So
Right.
always start with your best creatives when you're testing something new, and if it works, scale it. If it doesn't work, just scale it. But you should not have the doubt after 1 week that what, maybe I should try it again because But because when you're starting with the best creative, you're satisfied that it did be a best testing and this thing doesn't work, right? So always start with the best creative, and if you want, you can split test 3 4 creative to one category, and so that you're 100% certain that this thing doesn't work. And
Right. And how much budget you usually test with?
so usually, instead of looking at budgets, I will look at conversions. So probably for one category, I'll do I think maybe 20, 30, 40 conversions. And then after I get that number of conversions, I can say that I know my RPC, I know my CPC, I know my EPC, right? So budget would probably vary, depends on the number of conversions.
Right. But I mean, what budget did you put? Like $10, $50, or
So usually I start with the lower budget camp ad sets because Facebook,
Oh.
the way Facebook works is that lower budget give much better CPA in comparison to higher budgets. When you're starting something, so when you're starting something new, don't start with 100 or $500 worth of budget. Uh, Facebook will give you very liberal audience. Okay, so try to have as tight budget as possible.
Right.
Facebook will much better audience. So and also I'll start with Bitcap maybe, or maybe I'll to make sure that I'm not wasting my money. So I'm very frugal while testing. And if you want, you can also make multiple campaigns of one category or
Mm.
multiple ads. Depends on you.
Right, interesting. This is an interesting strategy. So you're saying that start with multiple ad sets. So I have a lower budget with. So you don't start with. So you usually campaign. Your usually campaign is like one campaign, two ad sets with low budgets. Uh,
Yeah, you could say one campaign, 2 3 assets, and if I want, I could make more campaigns as well, right?
right. Yeah. And also sometimes you start with bid cap.
Yeah, I try to start with Bitcap. Again, I'll tell you one thing, right? You don't have to start with Bitcap all the time because for running Bitcap, you have to know what is your average CPA or what is your average RPC for that particular category, right? So if you
Right.
don't know what's your RPC for that particular category, it's not possible to run Bitcap. So earlier, instead of start, what you could do is probably you could run highest volume campaigns, and you could just gather some data, and after that, you know that this is my RPC. After that, you could run Bitcap campaigns or cross tab
Right.
campaigns.
All right. So once you find a winner, how do you scale it? Is there any scaling strategies that you use?
Yeah, so scaling is basically a couple of things you could do. If you're running a particular video in one BM, you can run the same video in second BM, right? And you can run the same thing in the second account or second BM. Apart from that, you can also clone it. After
Mhm.
cloning, you can also. What I'll usually do is I'll try to um, make some more videos or images in the same line. I'll ask my video editor to probably keep launching more videos and images in the same line, and after that, just kill it. As long as the RPC is good, as long as CPA is good, I'll just try to do the same thing again and again until the offer ties.
All right. And when you're scaling, I mean, do you see like for how long campaign should be profitable? Like if you see a campaign is profitable, do you scale it right away or you like wait it for like 3 4 days? And once it is stable, then you will scale it.
So I think it comes with experience. So
Mhm.
for me, it's easier to detect something that this will be profitable, right? And because I usually look at the numbers, and when I see the numbers, I get that feeling that this will work, right? So I think it depends on that. Depends on experience. If you have that experience, you can just look at numbers. You could look at your CPC, you could look at your RPC, you could look at your CPA, and you would understand this thing will work. So when you know that this thing will work, don't wait to scale it on the same day.
Mhm. Yeah, usually what I have seen is that, for example, if there is a huge difference between CPA and RPC, if you are able to get a CPA of 0.15 and the RPC is $1, that means you can scale it quickly because you're getting a really high RPC, and the campaign is converting really easily 0.15, 0.20. So that means you can just scale it quickly. And if the difference is tiny, then that means you cannot scale it quickly. You have to just you are like your margins are low, because whenever you scale, I think your ROI drops. It is always, whether it is e-commerce or it is search arbitrage, whenever you will scale, your ROI is going to decrease.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So that's why it's important to launch with BitCap because you
Mhm.
make sure that you're not bidding way too high for it.
Right, right. Right. Finally, I will say, do you have any advice for someone who wants to get into search arbitrage? What direction you will point them?
I think the first thing is obviously to get feeds. Try to get some feeds from feed providers like ads from Fido.
That's the hardest part, and getting a feed.
That's that's the most challenging part. Or else, if you're not able to get a feed, you could work with someone else for a profit share or revenue share.
Hmm.
And I think so. One of the easiest way to scale search arbitrage or to find something to work in search arbitrage is just that. So look, one of the things that many newbies do is that they try to discover something new. Don't do that,
Hmm.
right? So,
Yeah.
like I said, if someone is already making it profitable and someone is spending huge amount of money, your aim should be just getting at least 5 or 10% of his traffic. Like, if I know a person is spending 100K a day, right, and if I steal his part of ideas and if I get 5 or 10% of his traffic, right, I can still make it profitable. Like instead of finding some new category or new idea or new offer, I can just spy on someone and steal his type of offers or his type of categories, right? And run them and make it profitable, right? Because instead of finding something new, it is much more easier to just spy on someone and then get his ideas or then get his categories and try to make it profitable. Because once you know that something is working, the only thing that you have to do is get your creatives right. Make sure that your creatives are better than his creatives, and once you do that, you can also start making profit, right? And
Mm.
that's the easiest way to make profit in South Arbitrage right now. And also probably think of it as a long-term game and don't try to break rules. Think of it as something you would want to do for 3 4 years. Don't think of it as so. I always tell this to my media buyers that you could probably make 100% ROI in 1 month, but don't run something uncompliant. Think of it as something that we could do over the course of 3 4 years, and because when you do it long term, you will make more money in comparison to you doing something shady and probably running it for 1 2 months and then getting caught, and you end up losing way more money in comparison to and doing it the right way and running it for 3 4 months. So think of long term game
Yeah.
and set up
Totally.
don't run after small money, and I think you could make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you're discussing the compliance topic, because this is I mean, as you know, that AFD, the decline of AFD was due to that people stopped complying. Everyone was running shady ads, and there were like too many uncompliant ads. How do you keep the compliance among your media buyers? Because I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you have to check it yourself. And
Mhm.
I mean, you won't believe there was a time when I used to ask my father, right? He's retired. So
Mhm.
he's retired, he retired from his job, right? So I used to tell him that, you know what, for 2 3 hours, just keep checking everyone's creatives and let me know if any media buyer is doing something wrong. So he used to do that for 2 3 hours a day, right? So you have to have someone
Wow.
who check the creatives. Because look, no matter what, right? Media buyers will always find a reason to break rules and make money fast, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to have someone, you know, there are certain media buyers that are very responsible and they understand that they don't want to break rules, but there are certain media buyers that would find ways to make money fast, right? So
Yep.
you would want to make sure that, that there is someone who would check them, and he could ask one of your, siblings or maybe parents to check it. And if not that, you have to do it yourself. But you cannot just, assume that, they will run compliant all the time.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, even though you provide them all the documents and everything, even Maximizer Rocket has now a AI compliance checks, but still, I mean, some of the creatives might not get. They said some of them might pass through. So, and also, I mean, if something happens, you are the one who will be affected because your feed might get suspended. So, yeah, you should be really careful with your media buyers and with the compliance. So, we were talking about the directions that you will that you will guide to new search arbitrage media buyers. Um, don't you think so that if someone is starting affiliate marketing, I think search arbitrage media buying is the most easiest one. It is most easiest because you are not selling anything. You are just buying clicks in search arbitrage. So this is the easiest affiliate marketing. This should be the I think if someone is getting into media buying, I think they should start search arbitrage because they are going to sell clicks. That is the easiest thing. It is easier than selling a product. Don't you think so?
To be honest, the answer to this question has varied for me over years and years, right? Because sometimes I feel that search arbitrage is the most difficult thing. Sometimes I feel that search arbitrage is the easiest thing, right? So especially after this EFD thing went down, I was thinking, why am I doing search arbitrage? Probably there are much more easier things to do, like lead generation, right? I could run crypto, I could do iGaming. People in iGaming are making 100% ROI. So I used to think, why am I doing so much hard work for net 30 payment and 30% ROI. Right? So it depends. Like so I always end up questioning such things, right? And to be honest, I found this thing, right? So I also do a lot of lead generation, right? I
Mm,
find this that there is problem in every vertical, right? Even in lead generation, if your quality of traffic is not good, they will not pay you. Same as with search arbitrage. If your quality is not good, if you are doing something wrong, they will not pay you, right? I think same is with probably crypto. Probably you get banned very fast if you're doing something black hat, right? Every vertical has some problems, right? So yeah, I mean, search arbitrage. The benefit of search arbitrage is this that you could scale a lot. So always look when you're looking to get into affiliate marketing. Always try to get into something that is scalable
yeah.
because scalable means you could scale something to 100K a day, right? And you will not be able to do that probably in it's difficult to do that if you're doing something black hat, right? But it's easier to do it
Yeah.
if you're doing something white hat and something that is scalable. Scalable means something that you can run across all the countries in all traffic sources without having the headache of account bans, right? So try to find something that is scalable. And once you learn that trick, once you master that particular domain or that particular thing, you could scale it and make a lot of money, right? So initial few days will be difficult, but once you master it, you could just make a lot of money. So yeah, search arbitrage is scalable. It is white hat and something you could do.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the it has no limitation to be honest. I mean, you can scale it as much as you can. There are like no caps in affiliate marketing. Usually, they have like caps. You can't set. You probably, for example, if you start scaling a product, you will get a cap. All right, we have like 1,000 items in our warehouse. You can't sell more than that because we will be out of the uh product. So there are usually some caps in e-commerce in retail. So, but for search arbitrage, there is no limit. You can just sell as much as you can, and yeah, so that is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. But you know what? There's also other side to it, right? So I was just thinking this, right? So there are certain lead gen companies, and they get a proper weekend off. They get Saturday off, they get Sunday off because lead gen doesn't work on Saturday and Sundays, right? But the thing with search arbitrage is that I have to be awake 16 hours a day, every single day. Even on weekends, there is no weekend, there is no Saturday, there is no Sunday. I have to be awake 16 hours a day, you know, uh, with very little sleep and just do it every single day, right? So sometimes I do envy those, lead gen people who get to have those weekends off. I can get that in with search arbitrage, right? Because if you don't work for a day, you'll get that FOMO that I'm missing out on revenue. So I do miss that part. Where I could probably take a day off in a week, maybe.
I mean, you're saying that you have to supervise 8 hours per day for search arbitrage.
Yeah, I mean,
It,
thing what it is scalable, but thing is this that it works all the time, right? It's 24 hours a day, right? So there's no break, right? So we have to be in front of laptop all the time. That's one of the. I mean, that's okay. It's a good thing, right? You can make a lot of money, but there is no. I can't take a vacation, right? I can't go out. I can't, even for a day. If I want to take a vacation, I have to think 10 times, right? Can I take a vacation? Probably not. Because you know what? Your employees are working. They will not let you take a vacation, right? That's how it is.
No, I think you need to put some automations in place. And also there is one more thing that I think affiliates like us, media buyers like us, I think we have this addiction that we will stick to our laptops. We will keep checking stats. All right, let's see if campaigns are profitable. We have this addiction. You have it. I also have it. That we will keep checking stats, how our campaigns are performing. I think that's why. Otherwise, I think we can leave. We can just check the stats yeah, tomorrow and see if they are profitable and switch them off, or maybe put some basic automations. But I think we don't trust automations, or I think and this is the addiction. I think. What do you think
I
about
mean,
this?
yeah, I mean, you can obviously automate things, but I'm always looking to do more and more. Like,
Mm,
if I have X number of employees, I'll always look at hiring more people. If I'm doing certain number of things, I'll always look at doing more things, right? So
yeah,
you would never be. I mean, obviously, you could probably settle at one point, and you could say that this is the amount of money I want to make, and I don't want to work any more harder, and that's okay, right? But if you just want to, if you're obsessed about something, you just keep doing more and more and more, and it doesn't let you sleep, right? It doesn't let you take rest. So I'm that kind of personality. I'm very obsessed about growing, and I'll
that's
just
so
keep
good.
finding new. Yeah, I'll find new things to do. Right, I'll find new articles to test. I'll have a business meet every single day where I'm discussing something new, a new opportunity to run, or a new opportunity to start, or something like that. Right. So yeah. So just if you're obsessed, just become restless. Right.
Hundred
Nothing to work on.
percent. 100%. But I think if there is a solo media buyers, I think that this is he needs to work like this for sure. He needs to supervise his campaigns and make sure it is profitable. But if he starts doing $5,000 per day, or even $3,000 per day, I think that he needs to look at automations. He needs to have. I mean, that's why I think Maximizer Rocket has amazing features. It does a lot of optimization by itself, and also they are working on new features every single day. They are trying to make it better. They have also added some rules. They are not perfect right now, but I think they are getting there. So the eventually you just need to launch campaigns with just find verticals, create ads, that is ad copy and images, and that's it, or videos.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying in this sense, right? So, okay, search arbitrage is automated, but you know what? I think of it in this way: if search arbitrage is automated, why don't I do lead generation? Why don't I do crypto? Why don't I do something else, paper call, right? So it just keeps you awake all the time, right? Just being obsessed that you want to do more and more and more and more.
Yeah, well, obsession is good when you are trying to grow. I think that would definitely help. Yeah, it's a good obsession.
Yeah, I mean, personally speaking, again, this is kind of off the topic, but personally speaking, right, I don't want to do this all the time, right? Probably, I think I'm 27, probably in 3 4 years more. And I think I'm a huge uh, fan of the fact that we were not born to just keep making money, right? We were born to enjoy life, and I think money is one of the tools to enjoy life. And I think after I've made enough amount of money, I think I will not work so harder. I think, but until I get to that point, I'll keep working 16 hours a day, right? But after I've made enough money, I think probably will focus more on enjoying life and doing other things, right? And I think you don't require a lot of money to be happy. Just I think for me, it's like $3 or $4 million in my account is more than enough to live rest of your life very happily, right? So I think just to that up to that point, that's what the struggle is, right? After that, probably not so much.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It sounds like a good plan. But I think if you love doing what you're doing right now, I think you should keep doing. If you love working, if you love seeing those numbers, you can just reduce the number of hours and just keep it doing because it makes you happy.
Yeah, but you know what? There are many more things in life that makes me much more happier, right? And to be honest, if you ask me personally, would I want to be sitting here right now or like doing massage arbitrage campaigns, or would I want to be traveling, in Argentina or some other part of the world? I would rather do that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. I would love that too.
Yeah, exactly, right. So only reason I'm doing this right now is because I could probably make some money, right? Not that I'm compelled to do it, but I think I don't know. I just feel that I would want to grind for next 2 3 years maybe, and probably get an exit after that.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, let's hope you see that retirement. Yeah, let's see you get those 4 or 5 million dollars.
Yeah, and I don't have that personality that, you know what, I could do something sideways and probably ignore it. I like, if I'm doing something, I'll do it very properly, right? So if I'm doing something, I'll do it properly. If I'm not doing, I'll just leave it and not do it, right? So for me, it's not like, okay, I can work 3 4 hours a day and just be okay with that. If I'm doing it, I want to be best in that particular domain or that particular category, right? So it's like when I leave it, I'll leave it entirely. I will not do it like I'll delegate or do it for 2 3 hours a day. So that's how it is.
Mm, interesting. All right, it's time to end our podcast. It was really nice talking to you. You shared so many insights, and you answered so many answer to my questions, especially the questions that I've been hearing. So it would be really interesting to see what comments do we get. And yeah, that's it. So I think I will get another guest next week, and that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rashad, for having me here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.